Wow, good afternoon, everyone. Wabish Kiniw and Disnakas Boh Kubrakovuch for MTN Live here for the 11th of August. It's a pleasure to be online. We've had amazing events this past week. We had the Summer Games the last 2 days. Kakawishkagang, ebb and flow, beautiful nation, beautiful host. I'd like to thumbs up to the organizing, Tyrone Desjarlis and his team were just amazing hosts, as well as Ogama Desjarlis and his council. Unbelievable. Anyways, we have a great guest here today. Of course, this is the Earth Lodge session for Thursday, the 11th. And we have an unbelievable guest, of course. He's the keeper of the Earth Lodge, Alan Sutherland. Alan, how are you doing today?
Bonjour. I'm doing good. This is a beautiful day. A beautiful summer, actually.
Awesome. And you've been pretty busy this summer.
Summer is always about gatherings and ceremonies, but the work doesn't go away. We're just as busy as we are throughout the year.
Absolutely, and it's great to see, of course. The Earth Lodge has been very, very busy since its start of an unbelievable vision of the government and nation and territory of the Anishinaabe. Tell us a little bit about the Earth Lodge.
Well, the Earth Lodge was an original concept when I first came on. My primary role was to create a lifelong learning college, and then to help other circles, especially with the lifelong learning circle, on how to bring our curriculum into our schools, our Anishinaabe, our language, our the best of our ancestors, so that the future generations will be proud of who they are and their identity. Now, the Earth Lodge, I got a little distracted because I needed to help overall the bigger picture on how our circles are going to work. What is the vision here? Why is it circles in the first place? Well, it was about responsibility. It's not like who you report to or a hierarchical system. It's really, we set it up by having keepers and helpers, and everybody is responsible for the work of their circle. So that's the original concept. Now, what was that took some time to get it off the ground in that way. But what was really missing is that vision of from our ancestral understanding, those beautiful teachings, how they govern pretty much the larger portion of Turtle Island. And why was everybody united for so long in that fashion, in that way? Well, we needed to look at that. We needed to bring it forward. But how do we incorporate something that beautiful, that it was well organized, and to create our nation of today, and especially to take on the challenges of this world? Well, that's where the Earth Lodge came in. The Earth Lodge was about creating a hub or a center where all this is going to be guiding all the circles on why are we taking the best of all worlds, our ancestors, how to look at our current situation in terms of what we don't want in the sense or municipal model that they're trying to force us to be under. But what would it look like in terms of taking on the world using the strength of our ancestors and modernizing it? So the Earth Lodge was about providing these four bundles, these four areas, and one of them is to return our language or strengthen our language, but to have them be part of our life in our schools, in our organizations, in our meetings. So it was after a period of colonization where they made laws to attack our identity. Well, we're going to have to reclaim our identity and be proud of that we're Anishinaabe. So that's the first bundle, is identity, is to bring back and strengthen the Anishinaabeg culture. And culture is a little bit of sense of the words to our people, even to this day. What do you expect after the colonial government had 100 years to provide shame into being Anishinaabe? Well, anyway, it was very important that we restore our identity and the pride of being Anishinaabe. The second bundle is well-being. You cannot have a strong nation if your people are not well. And that's where historical trauma needs to be addressed, because it becomes part of the norm. People accept it as just if it's not. It's not. In a way, all government policies and laws and their colonization process have really, especially Indian residential schools and 60 Scoop and so forth, has really created a lot of damage in our communities and our people. So well-being is a very important bundle to address, and we need to address that historical trauma. The third bundle is where we've been busy from the start, is building capacity, creating the training for us to, when we create our nation, we're well equipped to take it on and build that nation, because we started off humbly with less than 10 people, then we ended up with currently almost 40. But really, in order to be effective, to create a government, a Treaty 2 territory government, we need 500 employees now. There's a lot of work to be done. And that leads to the fourth bundle. The fourth bundle is nation building, is to create that vision, create those work plans, create the implementation plan, say and write down what you're going to do and get it done. So nation building is very important, that we do our own research, our own capacity building, putting the right people in place. But in the end, if it doesn't work out to be the way we want it, then that research is going to be very important, and that we're going to have to go to their courts. It'll take a long process, but we'll win, because it's all tied into the limited conditions that we had to put on the newcomers through the Treaty of 1871. So these are the four bundles that guides the seven principles of Minobisi and the good life. And our central role is to support all endeavors, everything we take on. It might be a longer project, or it could be a temporary project. But the overall goal is not only to empower government, create that government, but to hand it over to the local nations, where that's where the true government is. And right now we're working with 12 First Nations, or I should say local nations. I hope I answered your question.
Wow, Alan, that's amazing work that the Earth Lodge is doing, and you've basically presented at every council for the last while, and you start protocol at every council, so it's really good. My next question is, of course, I'd like to know more about the lifelong learning college or university that we're looking at right now of establishing. What are your thoughts, and what can you tell me about that right now?
Well, the universal teaching about education is that we're all lifelong learners. Even in the womb of our mothers, we are starting to get ready for life. Then life is the education. Life is the life school, is the earth school, a key school. So we go into formal institutions, but the learning never stops. You're always going to challenge yourself. You're going to be tested. You want to do more. You want to get somewhere. So lifelong learning is a very important component in everything we do. But that starts early, from a child to, when you're in an elder stage. It never stops. So we have to create our own schools with our own curriculum, our own languages, our own land-based education, is the term they're using today, to get our own children to live, not to live off the land, but to understand and how work with the land. That's part of our identity. Yeah, and as you go through all the education levels, you got your lower levels, you got your higher levels, and then you get ready to go into what they call post-secondary education, but it's our college. Our college is to ensure that the jobs we create is for our government, for our communities, because it seems like somebody else is benefiting from us. They take our away from our communities, and they ended up working for somewhere else. We gotta provide that opportunity at the local level that you stay home, you can stay home or come back and work for us. And so that lifelong learning college is ultimately what we're working towards. At the same time, we have to look at the overall education by creating our own school division so that we are in charge of our own career. It's based on Wabung. It was a vision in terms that we are responsible for our own children and their future. So that's why lifelong learning's been very busy for over a year. With some partnerships that we reached out in terms of management, financial management training, human resource training, applied counseling, and we're getting ready to build a peacemaking organization, also Peacekeepers organization. So we did a lot of work with what would that training look like. We got the Key Guardian program. It's ready to go. But things are on hold at the moment until we define how can we be self-sustaining to ensure that we can continue on and achieving our vision of lifelong learning.
Wow, Alan, that's amazing work out of the Earth Lodge. And I know you're very busy for another great couple events coming up, of course. Tuesday, we have the naming of our nation that will help the resolution June 12th, 2018, solidify itself as a permanent government. You're part of that, as well as discussing with the knowledge keepers and our great visionary leaders in our territory coming together on Tuesday the 16th to come up with a name for the nation in the Anishinaabe-Mowin language that would really identify who the nation, the territory, and the government is. And you're part of that, as well as a really huge one coming up on the 23rd and 24th, right? And that's our Grand Council. And tell us a bit about like all the work that you've been doing. And of course, the agenda is in our Moccasin Trail News. If everyone that's out there listening today, if you haven't seen the trail of newspapers, well, you can get us online, as well as you can go to Every Nation. Scotty Linkslake has been delivering to Every Nation this past week and a half, and he is getting these out. These are in Every Nation right now. If you go to your gas bar or your admin office, get a copy of them. Amazing news paper. We do such a great job. We let everyone know what's going on. Online, websites, social media, you name it. Tell us a little bit about the Grand Council, 23rd, 24th, in Kakujan, Ebb and Flow. Tell us a bit about what's happening during that time and your involvement.
Well, like I said, Earth Lodge is there to support all our circles, our Grand Councils, our advisors like the Knowledge Council and so forth. So what we envisioned this time around, because last year was commemorating the 150th year of our treaty with Canadians, and a lot of focus was that. But it's then what? Or what are we going to do for the next 150 years? What does it look like? Continue on with the status quo? Absolutely no way. It's very important that our leadership and our citizens, our people of our territories and our communities, our local nations, come and learn what's the plans for the future. Because we should not just gather just for education Sure, that's always going to be. But we should gather in terms of now what? Because we should have a solid plan moving into the immediate future and what is going to be the gift for the 7 generations to come. That's important. But right now, we have to get united. United because we are in a position now to shape what kind of government we want to create. But the challenges are everywhere, internal, external. So it's an opportunity for our Grand Council to say, now what? Where are we going with this? And once a decision is made, we must go commit full-heartedly and to keep in mind what we do for the 7 generations to come. So it's going to be exciting times in Ebb and Flow next week on the 23rd and 24th, because it can't miss opportunity. It can't be just another gathering. We have to talk about important stuff and make a commitment.
That's excellent. It's amazing what a small government can actually do with the limited funds that have been given to us. Just to recap that, of course, we're working hard to invoice Canada. We've worked hard to, and part of that is coming up with laws. Nakadaway when, so of course that's our main law. After 10,000 years, put in 16 pages, and we're defining that. It was passed by the Grand Council in 2019 and 18 as well, but it's been redefined now because of the new peacemaking law, and of course the Obigia law that's there for the children, and then the Treasury Administration financial law that's there. So now we have all these laws. What do you foresee now after the Grand Council reviews them and a consensus government puts together a plan to moving forward with the laws and they're passed? What do you think is going to happen next with the Earth Lodge, and how is the Earth Lodge going to be able to take the laws and engage with the local nations, with the regional offices, but capacity? What do you see in the capacity development part of it, Alan?
Well, there was a time when Anishinaabe was born into these kind of governing systems called the clan systems. You were born into having responsibility. The community raised you, and it made the nation strong. Now we knew from all that responsibility, we knew the spiritual laws, we know our natural laws, we even know our customary laws in terms of how to interact with our neighbors. Now we have to create these first written laws. These written laws is something to our nationhood, because if the courts have been saying this, if you don't have your own laws, federal, provincial law will apply to your communities, your local nations. Now, as we create our own laws, nobody else is really taking such a what do you call it, very progressive at this stage to create laws for everything about us. But it doesn't have to be such in detail. All you have to do is just give you a description as a body of your law. Now, all the other stuff, regulations, what does it look like, who you're going to hire, where is it going to be, all these little details won't have to be up front, because these are our laws. The important thing about laws is that we keep it for ourselves, and if the government wants to eventually come and challenge us, we're going to win, because we are proud of self-determination. So that's why the laws are so important. Even if you just had a one pager, 2 pager, at least you're on your way, because laws will develop over time. So right now, we're currently putting that all together for our Grand Council. Some have advanced in many others, like lifelong learning has a law. Others just taking off now. But it is ours. Nobody else, no other organization, but they are for our local nations, who are the ones that creates these laws for themselves. And we have Treaty 2 are there to assist them. So not everybody's on the same page or the same time frame, but eventually we're all going to be having our own laws, and we're here to assist them.
That's amazing, Alan, and just so much work that's been done in the last number of years. There hasn't been a lot of a hurry. We've been very consistent. We've been going. We haven't been pushing too much, but we've been forging ahead in order to get respect that our government correctly needs, right? So next steps, and what do you see the Earth Lodge getting ready for the fall, Alan, and your next work for this fall?
Well, like you said earlier in our discussion, we are kind of like held back because of the lack of funding that we should be getting more of. But that doesn't stop us from planning on doing what we have today. Earth Lodge has a great team, and we're going to be creating a learning series, executive series, but these are kind of training or executive training or leadership training that's going to be on our website. That's going to be available to our local nations and their organizations. And we'll also do public training as well. We can do that right away. We are still doing a lot of work on curriculum development. And one of the tasks that we're going to take on immediately is how do we have Anishinaabe able to be part of our schools? So we take what we can do today, and we always work on towards the next thing. That's what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you very much for being a guest today on the MTN Live. This is awesome. Miigwech, for the rest of the day, you have an exciting series at 1 o'clock. It's an engagement with peacemaking and the traditional form of governance you're talking about. So good luck this afternoon, Alan, Miigwech, Nanaskumin, and Ekosani for being on today. Thank you, Alan. Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it, Alan Sutherland. He's our Earth Lodge keeper. I would like for you, again, if you don't have it, make sure you do get a copy of the Moccasin Trail News. Make sure you're online also with the laws that have been posted. We've done amazing work right now to get the laws to a level that you've passed, and you have your council that have passed them. The Women's Council, the Men's Council, the Youth Council, Knowledge Council, and Governing Councils all have had excellent time and ability to really get on the lawmaking process, and it's strictly amazing how much work that has been done. I have to say that I'd like to commend our team for the efforts. I'd like to commend our team for the hard work that they've done up until this point. And it's just been amazing. With that, Keach Miigwech, the 23rd, 24th, your Grand Council, as a member, get that 50% of your responsibility going as a member to come out, work with your government. There's a consensus government that is really defined, reclaimed after 151 years, and it's moving. If not now, when? We are doing it now. With that, Ekosani, Miigwech, Nanaskumin, Boh Kubrakovuch signing off MTN Live today. Thank you.